Well, so I grew up in post-war, post-revolution Iran, and both politically and culturally, instruments were not as readily available. So it was something very distant for me. Like, I only saw it in movies and stuff like that. Around 11 years old, we traveled to Europe to see my uncle who lives in Switzerland, and I get to see that they have put together like a kit guitar. There's no finish or there's no strings on it. And so basically that was my first introduction that, oh, you don't need thousands of dollars of equipment. People can actually make musical instruments on their own. Later on, when we immigrated to Canada, and I was actually going to the local library, and then I randomly see this book, and in it there's a gentleman who's showing how to make guitars. And so that book reignited the interest, you know. Graphic design was something that I was kind of interested in, and I went to study graphic design. But, you know, as the idealistic dreams that we have as teenagers, you know, going to college and university, that slowly faded away because there I met Phil Davis, the luthier who builds world-class violins, and he also was teaching guitar making at the OCAT. So I decided to take a course with Phil to sort of learn to build a guitar. And then I became interested in just woodworking in general. What I thought was going to be a hobby became sort of my main job. I remember as a teenager, I went to the movie theater, and it was the first time I saw somebody play the guitar. His style of playing really stuck in my head, and his name is Babak Amini. And years later, when I immigrated to Canada, I was fortunate enough to meet him in Toronto, and we ended up working together. His support and his trust in my work, but also his music, has had tremendous influence in my work, and I'm really fortunate to have worked with people like him, and these sort of connections will always stay with me. When you start building a guitar, you think about the materials in the raw and a certain general direction you want to take. But then as you start building it, you have to refine not only the materials, but also your ideals in your head, because you have to actually make cuts. And as you build, you use multiple different tools, heavy machinery, small machinery, and you end up with this end product that is hopefully as perfect as you can make it. For me, it's always like, you know, this idea of, well, hey, I made this, and 2 months ago this didn't exist, but now here it is. And that's what really interests me, and it for me at least, it doesn't go away. Like that feeling of, I made this and I put this together, and look, it's got strings and somebody can play it. It's always there. Here at Toronto Lutherie, I build custom instruments, I repair instruments, and I also teach. And I've been really fortunate to work with a whole series of, you know, clients and musicians and students who, you know, who come to me because a lot of what I do doesn't exist in the city anymore, and I've been able to create that space for people, and so I've been really fortunate to do that.